Hi there, I'm Chris, and in this video we're going to take a quick look at the Elementor page builder, which is the page builder that you'll find with every WordPress quick start website that I've offered to you at imchrisgood.com. And the idea of the page builder is that if you're a non-coder, you are still able to design elements on the page, add content to your page, and even animate them. And you can create pretty much anything that you would envision, even with the free version of Elementor. It's incredibly easy to use, and essentially a page builder is something that just lets you do something like this. We're on the Elementor website here, and as you can see, there's this idea that you can add different elements to pages, and it's not very hard to do. It's all drag and drop, something that you would have experienced on something like phone apps. And it really is that easy to customize your own website. So looking at the Trifid Quick Start, which is a quick start WordPress website that I have available for you at imchrisgood.com. This is just a basic layout. This is the neutral colored Trifid, and you'll find that designing with a lot of white space is a good thing to do, and it lets the images really stand out for themselves and create the vibrance and the interesting talk points. So this is a very simple website design, but it's a great starting point, and you'll see why, because once you're finished with this quick overview of Elementor, you'll realize that you can take this as a starting point and do pretty much anything. And I mean anything, like with you can have a video background with a beautiful gradient over it, you can have animated buttons, and that's just the header of your page. So let's get into it. The idea of this is that you would have enough knowledge about Elementor to start learning by doing and start experimenting without feeling like you're going to break your website, which you really can't, and you'll understand that in just a few minutes. Okay, so at the moment we are at the website and we're signed in. You can see that by this top bar here, which gives us a few different options. Now we want to go to the dashboard, and the reason I want to do that is I want to show you different ways that you can start up Elementor. So as with anything that we have installed on our website, you'll see Elementor here, and you can play with all of the settings, but there's not too much to concern yourself with at this point. What we want to look at is pages. So Elementor is a page builder, and now we have a list of all of our pages on the website, and you'll notice that we have home and edit. Now that would take us to the WordPress page editor, which is not really what we want to do. So I'm going to click on that just to show you that within WordPress you would have the page area, and then you would add blocks, so things like a gallery or headings, and then a paragraph. We don't want to use that, but if we are in this section, we can click Edit with Elementor once we have it installed. The other way to do that, if we return to the pages list, is to click here, Edit with Elementor. So if we're viewing our pages, we can just click on that, and that would fire up Elementor. But what I also want to show you is that if we return to the website, just by this menu here, and because we're signed in, you'll see that we've got this element up here. So if we're viewing any page and we think, oh, okay, I think I want to change that color or change that text, then we would simply click Edit with Elementor, and we're away. So let's launch that. Wonderful. So the first thing you'll notice is that we have this interface on the left-hand side, and Elementor is across the board maintaining this structure. So whenever you are using Elementor, you'll find that the interface is on this left side, and it changes with regard to what it might display, but you'll quickly become used to the way that it displays and the way that it's structured. I would like to make you aware that if you click this button here, we'll see the website without the interface menu here, squashing it up. So this is a bit more like a tablet view. If on the Mac at least you hold down Command and press --, you'll see that it returns a bit more because we're zooming out. We can see a bit more of what the website looks like without that interface scrunching up the space. I'm quite happy with how it looks on 80 to 90 just for when I'm working, but if you ever want to take a peek, just click that arrow and then you're seeing the website as it usually would be displayed. So the first thing we're going to look at is the structure of a page, and once you understand that, you can grasp how you organize elements on the page within Elementor structure. So if we close this up just for a second, we'll see that we have this rectangle here. This is quite clearly a section of the website, and generally you would think of a website as being quite a grid structure. So here we have quite a clear rectangle, which is why this simple design is a good one for us to practice on. And then we have another rectangle, another section, and another section again with 3 columns in that one, and you get the idea. We're just scrolling down. We have nice rectangular sections to work with. So let's have a look at that as Elementor sees it. We have this section here, and you'll notice this blue line. And then if we go down here again, we'll notice that we have a blue line around this section. And again, and again. And you'll also notice this blue tab. Now this literally does indicate that we are looking at a section. So if I was to click this middle button, which I am, we'll see it says on the left hand interface edit section. So this is how we edit the various sections. So if this is our section, we then need to understand what's within it. Now within every section is a certain number of columns. Now we can choose how many columns we have in a section depending on what kind of design we're going for. So here we have 2 columns, and even though one of those is empty so that we can just have this design element over here, the 2 column structure is necessary. If we look at this section, we see that we have a 1 column structure, and that's a simple way to start looking at the design elements of a quick start website, is that you would see how many columns you have to mess with and play with. If you wanted to add one, I'll show you how to do that. But that's how you can understand what you have to work with when you look at a template or one of my quick starts. Okay, so within the columns, we then have the actual elements. So an element would be something like a heading or a button or an image. So this here is an element. In this case, it's a testimonial. So if this is a section and we see that it says edit section, we then have a column and we have another column here. And if we clicked on that, we would see edit column. And then over here, we can see that we have various elements, and they are indicated by this blue edit pen button. So if we click on that, we see that we have the edit element name up in the interface section. So if we just scroll down, I can show you this one. This, as opposed to being a dual color heading, is just the simple heading element. So that's the structure of Elementor. That's the structure within which we can design and achieve the design we're looking for. We have a section which has columns, and in those columns we have various elements to play with. So let's have a look at what elements we can play with. If we go up to here, if we go up to the dots on the interface section, we literally see the tab elements, and these are the basic elements that are available to us. Obviously, if you go to Elementor Pro, you are going to have more to work with, but especially to begin with, you have enough to work with. You can customize all of these elements in so many ways and even animate them onto the page. So these are the Pro ones, and then these are elements that you get from other plugins or anything else you install onto the site. We've got WooCommerce here, which is an e-commerce solution, but again, these are locked up unless we go for the Pro. Essential add-ons, again, just experiment with these, but these are available to us. Dual color heading, that's this one here. Okay, so that's how you access all of the different elements. So again, not to overstress the point, but we have sections, columns, and then elements within those. I just want to quickly draw your attention to this element here, because somehow we have 2 columns within one column, and that's because should you need that design element, you would use this inner section, and that's actually another column structure. So that's what enables this sort of like branching off here from one column into two, is that we actually have an element that is a column structure. Okay, so before we have a look at how to add elements, I quickly want to show you how to add a section. So up here we have the dots in the middle. That's literally the edit section. If we'd like to delete the section, we click this and that will delete it quite immediately. And if we wanted to add another one, we click the plus and then we click the plus. This will give us the opportunity to choose our initial column structure. So, you know, depending on how you envision the section, you would want to make a decision on that. So if we just click the one column at the moment, and we'll see that it's not very tall, but the section is there. So if we were to float down here, we would see that we're on the other section. So let's click on that, edit. And the first thing I want to show you is that we have tabs here. We have layout, style, and advanced. And if we click on height, we have default, which is not very tall, obviously. That would, if we fill this up with content, it would fit to that content. We might want to fit to screen, in which case the height is of our device screen. Or perhaps we would like a minimum height, and we could set that minimum height and then place column within. So here, this section is actually set minimum height to 600. So that's as small as that section will go, regardless of what content is in there. So that's how you can quickly design the size of the section, and then you can start to color it. Now, should we decide that we actually want a 2-column section, then you would simply right click on the column icon here, and you've got lots of things that you can do, but we would want to add a column. And if you want to do that again, of course you can. So you are able to add columns within a section once you get editing. If you think that that might be something you want to do, you can also right click and then delete, like so. So how do we actually add an element into the column? So we've got a section, a column, and then we want to add elements. So simply come over to the elements tab, and let's take an element. We'll take heading, and you drag it over until you see this blue line. Now, if we're in a different section, the blue line will indicate where the element will be dropped. So we can literally drop that anywhere and add that as an element into our design. So what we would like to do is quickly just drag that in there just to show you how simple that is. So now we've created a heading element. If we wanted to add another one, click on the dots up here, return to the elements tab, and we could do something like drag a divider in there, and there we go, and return to the dots. We could chuck in a button as well. Okay, so that's how easy it is to add elements. If we want to delete all of that, we can just delete the column. And then if we want to delete a section, again, we click on that one. So again, just running through that, we've seen that we have a structure of a section and then columns within that, and then elements within each column. And it's very easy to create an entirely new section and set some basic elements, just dragging them in, drag and drop, and just experimenting in order to see what works for your design. That's how simple that is. And then once you're finished with that, just click X and the section is gone. Okay, so let's look at some of the editing features within Elementor so we can really start to go to town on customizing your quick start to what you have in mind. Okay, so now we're on to the really exciting part, which is where we get to play with colors and pictures and styles and all of that sort of stuff. Customizing our quick start website from the basic idea that it is to the fulfillment of our vision of our website. Now, again, I'm just going to show you that we've got all these animations, we've got colors, and there's a lot for us to go through, but this is just a quick overview. But you can always learn by doing, and it's very simple to correct any mistakes. Okay, so our editing options. We have seen that if we click on this button here, then we get the edit section. If we click on the column button here, we get edit column. And then if we click on the blue pen here, then we start to actually edit the elements. Now you'll notice that we generally have 3 tabs. If we're looking at the section, we have layout, style, advanced. If we go to the column, we have also layout, style, and advanced. If we go to the elements, it's a bit different. We have content, style, and advanced. Now again, you'll start to understand where everything sits in terms of what you change on what tab, and because it's kept so consistent throughout the design, it will become intuitive rather quickly. If you have an element such as a heading, the content is in this first tab, so this is where you are obviously going to put the text in a heading. If we go to something like an image, so I've just scrolled down and clicked on the pen here, then the content is obviously the image, so we would choose the image that we would like to have in that element, in that image element. So the fact that it's all kept so uniform and so consistent really does help with developing intuition. So if we click on this heading element, we've got content, and we could add anything we want. Really get the job done. Okay, so the style of this element is that we retain uppercase there, and so the content is that we have the title here and some subtext there. If you look at content style, you see that we have icon on top, but we don't have an icon, and we can play with the different options that are available to us. If we click on the style tab, then we start to be able to play around with colors. So this is a heading, and yet we've got a background color section or option. So as you can see, if you click on the various colors available to you, you can add one of those backgrounds to even your headings. Now, this is a good place to show you that if you like a color, if you're playing around and you're like, oh, I really like this color, and that's something that you would like to have within design elements throughout your page, you might want to keep hold of that color and not have to copy and paste this code all of the time, this hex code. So with that color selected, you would simply click on that plus there. And once you've clicked on that, then this would be a palette that you can use within all design elements within your website when using Elementor. If you want to hold that down, then a trash can appears and you can get rid of a color if you don't need it anymore. Okay, so click off that. We would like to take that away. And padding and margin we'll talk about very quickly at the end, but if we open up this element here, we've got color and typography. So with heading and text, you're always going to find typography and color. And so the main color in terms of this heading here, we can simply click on that and go to town. Typography, however, if we click on the pen, then we can choose a different font. So something like Georgia we might think would work. Again, you can play around with all of that. And then we've got pixels and EMs. You might prefer to work with pixels, but essentially it's just resizing is what we're going for there. You can also play with weight. Well, that didn't make a change on that occasion, but if we see we go above 800, 900, puts a bit more emphasis. So that's how to play around with the styles. Now obviously every different element will have different things that you can customize. So clicking on a button, again we have content, style, and advanced. So in this instance, the content is the text on the button, and we could change the we've got on this one, we've already got some design stuff that's prioritized here, but you can change the preset. You can add an icon. So it doesn't make any sense. Let's put an angry face. That's how easy it is to add an icon. If you like those, perhaps one of those arrows. Just click in there. Again, this is stuff that you can all just have a play with. You can't break anything because you can just reverse what you've just had a go with. So very easy to get a different design element there. If we go to style, you can obviously see what's happening here. We've got background color and we've got the text color. Now, something to take note of here is that if we click on background color, this is the color for as the button appears in normal circumstances. If I hover over it, you can see it's a bit darker. So what's going on there? It's this tab here. You can change the design and the style, sorry, if you click on the hover, and then we can start to change how it will all look with regard to when you're hovering over it. So let's change the text color, for example. We've got the hover tab selected. Let's make it yellow on hover, and look at that. It's very simple, very easy to do, and that would have been like some quite significant CSS coding in the past, but anybody can just get familiar with this interface and start to really change things up. If we go to the advanced tab, again, margin and padding we'll have a quick look at another time, but I just want to show you motion effects because it's so exciting. If you click on motion effects, now this is how it will animate as you reveal it on the page. So as you scroll and an element comes into view, it would, in this case, fade in up. So it would appear. Let's have a look at something. You see how that moves up there, and there. And that one, the form itself, was a fade in up. So you can select all of these and you can have a look at each one. Let's have a look. Sliding in down, you can see what that's doing there. You can preview all of them. There you go. And once you're familiar with all these, you might even come to Elementor knowing what you're looking for. That's quite a nice one. And just in terms of animations, again, if we go back to style and hover, yeah, there we are, hover animation. So it might have something like pulse. So when you hover over it, you've got this little pulse going on there. And again, you can preview anything we've got. So it animates when it's in view and then animates when you hover over it. Okay, so that's how to play around with some of the elements in terms of their style. It's how you change the content. So if you've got a heading where you're looking at a quick start and you're thinking, I don't want it to say how we work, I would like it to say about us or who we are. So you click on that button there, we have edit heading, and we would want to go to the content. So let's do that now. Or we would want it in caps. Who we are. Okay, all done. Now let's say we would like a different color. We just skip on over to the style tab, click on that, and let's make it yellow. Happy days. And we could play around and make it a different font or a bit bigger. Let's make it a bit more weighty so it stands out a bit more. Perhaps we like that. That's what we're going for. And then click update down here. Okay, so we've edited elements and started to play around with those. We can also edit columns. So if we click on this and we have edit column, we can change layouts. Now that might be with regard to how wide we want each column to be, or it can be to do with some of the other elements. So if we go to style and then go to background, we might want to color this just like we have this one here. So now we've got a half and half kind of design. If we drag this down here, then we change the opacity, so that can actually be quite striking. And again, it's a case of play around with these and see what takes your fancy. Okay, so let's return this back to clear so that we can just look at what we're doing here. And let's have a look at editing this section. So going to layout, we can see that we can change the minimum height or we can set it to default. That would relate to its size for the content that's there, or we could make it fit to screen, and it would fit to the screen of the device. I personally generally prefer to set the minimum height. If we go to style, then we can get quite interesting on this. So it is possible to set an image for the background of the section, which is quite a cool thing to do. If you then set the position, if there's a part of the image that you would like to have a bit more emphasized, then you can play around with these and try and find the best fit. I'll leave it at center for now, and if you click on attachment and fix it, then you'll get this little scroll effect, which is quite nice. Now, depending on the image you use, and you can experiment with it, you can get some quite nice effects there. Repeat, generally you'd want it on no repeat, and cover or contain, so you can see how that's different there. Okay, on this one we have a background overlay, so we have the background being the image, and then you can see that we've got this blue here and the yellow down here. So if we increase the opacity there, we'll see that we can get this effect over a bit more strongly, and you can change that from linear to radial, and change the location. This is all stuff to sort of experiment with, and you'll become more familiar with how it works, and what effect you're going for. Now, something to have a quick look at here is that if we click on video, we've got the opportunity to add a link. Now, if you have your own videos on YouTube, then go along and grab the link to one of those. But here's one. This is GoPro. If you right click and then get copy link address, go back to your website, paste that in, and look at that. We've got ourselves a background video for our website, and that's with a bit of an overlay as well. So it looks really striking. It gets a bit of attention, and actually that's a lovely color scheme. You can change the start time as well and the end time, so you can get a nice snippet of a video that would best serve your needs. But that's very striking as a nice sort of background there. The last thing I'll quickly show you on this very quick overview, not so quick overview, but that's how many features there are. And once you understand the structure and how to edit, and then a few different demos on what you can do, there really is no stopping you. So if we are on edit section and style, and then we go down to shape divider, we have top and bottom. So let's go to the bottom, because we're looking at the bottom of the shape. And watch what we do here. Type mountains. Look at that. So not only do we have a video background, but it's looking all seamless with this fantastic effect. Now it doesn't look right with that bit at the moment, but obviously this is all just playing around. So tilt here, and then we move that around. You see that you're getting quite nice effects there. It looks, well, it looks fantastic. And again, that's a very advanced design feature that you have at your own fingertips, just because of Elementor. So it literally is a case of clicking through, seeing which one you like, and clicking update, and you're away. Okay, so that's a nice overview of Elementor. It's not exactly in a nutshell 10 minutes, but that's just how jam-packed Elementor is. And this is just the free version. This is us playing around with elements that are just available to us quite on the basic package. We can have video backgrounds, we can have any color and any text pretty much. We can add buttons and animate them. We can have different elements animating as they come into view. There really is so much that you can do, and again, the free version is so jam-packed that it's going to keep your imagination very busy for quite a while, and you can achieve some fantastic effects for your website. So have a play around, learn by doing, and obviously explore all of these different elements and what they do. I will have some more in-depth tutorials and walkthroughs about different elements and how you can use them, but this is just meant to be quite a quick overview just to give it to you in a nutshell. Hope you've enjoyed, and I'll speak to you soon. Check out the next videos. Thanks. Hi there, this is Chris. I hope you found this video helpful. If you would like to look at more videos and tutorials, please go along to iamchrisgood.com, where you can find lots more videos on how to set up your own WordPress website using Elementor, the best page builder around, and it's free. So using completely free components, I will take you through how to set up your own WordPress website. If, however, you want to get your business online today with a full-featured, fantastic and beautiful WordPress website using the design elements of Elementor, which is a free page builder and an industry-leading one at that, please do go along to iamchrisgood.com, simply download the website that takes your fancy and follow some simple installation tips. And if you get stuck, please get in touch with me and I will of course help you out with that installation. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope to see you at iamchrisgood.com. Have a good day. I'll speak to you soon.